We begin the current Daf Masechtas Beruchas Daf Lamed Beis. We begin the top line of the Yomid, where we continue a quick review of the previous Daf. We were speaking about the concepts about davening. We spoke about how do you prepare yourself when you come into daven, halacha psuka, something very clear, or kavod roish, with a humility when you come into daven. And we spoke about the one has to focus his heart, his body, his face, his heart, to Shemaim, to the Beis Hamikdash, to Yerushalayim. We spoke about different concepts from biblical figures like Daniel, Chana, Shloime, David, regarding that you should have windows, your voice shouldn't be heard, you should do praise and then make a request. From Chana, we learned many different halachas regarding that you're not allowed to be intoxicated when you daven. You should rebuke someone even if it's not a biblical violation. You should tell someone if he's suspecting you without any good cause. And if you do, like we know it, is that you have to then appease them and you have to bless them. You're not allowed to sit in Daled Amos of someone who's davening. In Chana's Tefillah, we found many interesting concepts that she was the first one who called God Tzavakos, the Lord of Hosts, like as if you have all these galaxies and worlds, can't you just give me one child? And that she tried to almost twist his hands, like to force him to give her a child by saying, Imroi Tira, if not, I'm going to act like the Saita, and then you're going to have to give me a child, which depends if you hold like that or it's just Lashon the Adam. Said, why does she say 3 times the word Amasecha? Because of the word Misa, that there's 3 things that a woman dies, Nida, Chala, Hadlakas, and I didn't violate any of them. She asked for a Zera Noshim, which we had many different interpretations. What does that mean? A man amongst men who anoints 2 men, who's like 2 men, who's absorbed amongst men. And she said, Elanah Hazes Paloti, no, I don't want any other child. Her son Shmuel was going to be Chayiv Misa because he was Hayr Allah B'fnei Rabbi. Says, I want this child. And she spoke about Medeberes Aliba regarding on her chest, regarding that every part of the woman's body is there for a purpose. Let me utilize that purpose. And we concluded with what we're going to continue on this stuff, Hitir Dvam Klabimayla, that she went and she so to speak spoke very strongly to God. So that Eliyahu Navi spoke strongly to God, and God ultimately agreed to Eliyahu Navi, says, I cause somewhat mitigating the responsibility of a person, that because I created the Yetzer Hara, that's why we do Averis. Some ideas we're going to speak about in today's Daf. We're going to continue with this idea regarding Hashem saying, yes, it's somewhat of an excuse that we have a Yetzer Hara, and 3 psukim that it's in Hashem's control whether we sin or we don't. Now, we're going to continue with what we said, Hitir Dram Kabamala, like just like Chana and Eliyahu spoke strongly, so did Moshe Rabbeinu speak strongly, and many sources for what Moshe Rabbeinu was, so to speak, complaining to God about what he was talking about. And related to that is going to come in the idea about the sin of the Egel, and then different psukim that are referenced over there in the Cheder Egel. And one of them is Vayichal Moshe, which have many different interpretations. What does it mean Vayichal Moshe? What does the word Vayichal mean to say? So again, some other psukim regarding what was said over there that Moshe Rabbeinu was claiming was trying to defend the Jewish people, and some concepts from the same Amira regarding prayer, what's greater, and the famous phrase Shari Demois Lo Nenalu, the gate of tears are never closed. 4 things that need chizik, and that again going back to the halacha of the Mishnah, that the Hasidim Rishonim they would stay an hour before, an hour after, the sources for that, and then going back to the halacha of the Mishnah regarding that a person's not supposed to stop in Milosh Moin Esrei, even if a king or a snake, unless there's something of danger, if you can't make it abridged, then you respond. And the story with a Chassid Echad relating to that halacha, but not stopping him for a king. So our shiur is sponsored by Kal Zuchan Yecheskel, Torah Anytime, and Daf Achaim. And we begin on the top of Lamed Beis, and I'll continue on this theme regarding the mitigating factor about the Yetzer Hara. Amar B'chama Reb Chanina says, "Imoli sholosh mikros halolav." Not for these following 3 psukim that testify that it is in the control of God to fix our inclination, to remove the Yetzer Hara from us. Nesmaita to ragleim shel shleini Yisrael. Then the feet of the, again, it's euphemistic. It means to say that when we say the enemies of Jewish people, we just don't want to say a curse on ourselves. It means the Jewish people themselves. Then our feet would fail in judgment, because look what we did wrong. But now we have somewhat of an opening that Hashem, you caused it because you created the Yetzer Hara. Where do we find this concept? In 3 psukim. Chad is the chsiv, is the pasuk of Micha that we quoted on the top of this Amud from the previous Daf, Vashe Hare Yosi, that Hashem ultimately agreed to Eliyahu Navi, says, yes, I caused the Jewish people to do bad because I made the Yetzer Hara. V'chad the chsiv is a pasuk in Yirmiyah. Hine, we know this pasuk, we say it in the Yom Nerom davening. Hine kachayim b'yad ha'yotzer. Like, behold, like clay in the hand of the potter. Kinatim b'yad Beis Yisrael. Saw you in my hand, the Jewish people. I mean, Hashem says, I caused somewhat of this formation of your personality. V'chad the chsiv is a pasuk in Yecheskel, v'asiresi leva evan b'sachem. God says, I will remove the heart of stone from your flesh. V'nesati lechem leiv bas. I'm going to give you a heart of flesh. What that means to say is it's in God's control. He can make us into people that wouldn't sin, and again, therefore, it's not our fault. on some level. Rav Papa Amamach brings a pasuk later, the next pasuk, which says similarly, "Vesruchi etim bekir bechem," that my spirit I'm going to put inside of you. V'asisi esesha b'chukei telecha, and I'm going to make it so that you're in my statutes. You're going to go as if God could make us do good, so to speak, you can make us do bad, and therefore again that's a mitigating factor for us when it comes to the day of judgment. Now going back to the previous daf, also continue from Rabbi Lazar. A lot of the teachings are going to be from Rabbi Lazar. He says, Moshe hitir dvam klabemal. He so to speak, threw words up to God, like we have in the previous daf of Chan El Yosh. And then like it says a pasuk in Bamidbar. Now the Maharsha actually changes this pasuk to a pasuk in Devarim. The reason is because he says, I don't see where we should say this as if Moshe is talking so strongly that we have to amend the pasuk. But be that as it may, because the pasuk he brings shows that he's speaking strongly. Be that as it may, the pasuk says, V'yisval Moshe el Hashem. That Moshe Rabbeinu prayed to God. So it says Rabbi Lazar, Al tikri el Hashem. Don't read it to Hashem. Ela al Hashem, on Hashem. Why would we say El means Al? We switch the Aleph for the Ayin, which Al Hashem sounds like on, like as if like you're raining strong points on Hashem. Shekein debei Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. As we find the yeshiva Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, Karin la'alfen Ayin ula Ayin and Alfen. They would switch the Aleph and the Ayin and the Ayin and Aleph. Now, although in Halacha that's not the case, you're not allowed to pronounce like that. Although we're not so careful. But one thing we see is that they're interchangeable, and when it says El Hashem, it meant Al Hashem. Moshe Rabbeinu was speaking very strong onto God. Another source, the Rabbi Yami Amir Mahacha. In the Yeshiva Rabbi Yami, they brought a pasuk in Devarim that says, this is the beginning of Sefer Devarim, that it's just talking about the travels of the Jewish people. Sefer Devarim is, Moshe Rabbeinu is talking about the whole journey of the Jewish people together. And one of the places was V'di Zahav. But says the Gemara, my V'di Zahav, what is this place V'di Zahav? It's not just places. Amir the Rabbi Yami, it says, Kacha b'Moshe l'fnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu, is Moshe referencing regarding the sins of the Jewish people. One of them was the Egel. Why is the Egel referred to as Dizav? Because this is what Moshe Rabbeinu said in front of God. Rebbeinu Shalom, master of the world, B'shel Kesev Zav sheshpatel l'Yisrael. You gave gold and silver that you showered upon the Jewish people. At Sha'amru Di Zahav is enough gold. Who garm shasas Egel? You're complaining that the Jewish people did the golden calf. You know why they did it? You gave them so much good. They didn't know what to do with themselves. They're going and doing idolatry. Now, I'm reading Rabbi Yanai, again, continuing from the Yeshiva Rabbi Yanai, on this thing about not having too much good, not having too much like they call moisris, not too much, larger things. In a rinoyim, the lion doesn't roar, meaning to be happy and go crazy and damage, from a box of straw. Rather, it's from a box of meat. When he's getting all excited, he's got some good meat, then he goes crazy because he gets all excited. Amar Rabbi Shloimy says, Mashal, and this can be compared to a person. He had a very weak cow. Ubalas Ivarm, it was just a bony creature. It was very thin and scrawny. Hechila Karshina gives it vetch, which is good for it. And then this cow goes and kicks the master. Amallah, he says to the cow, what caused that you should kick me? It's the vetch that I gave you that caused you to kick me. As the Gemara brings Amar B'chibar Abba Amar B'yichin, this is this can be compared to a person. He had a son. He loved his son. He bathed him, he anointed him, which they would smear oil on the child. Gave him to eat, gave him to drink. He gives him a purse, a whole wallet on his neck. He puts him by the opening of the entryway of the harlots. What's the son supposed to do that he's not supposed to sin? In other words, God, you gave us so much good. You put us in front of all that gold. What's this child supposed to do and not go ahead and sin? Again, that's a mitigating factor. This is what people say. Male crazy, when you have a full stomach, zane bishi, this is one of the types of evils. Which again, a person's full, he's satiated, he's in a good mood, let's go out in town, do stuff. Shem like it's a pasuk in Hosea. Kemarisam yizbo, like they're grazing and they're satiated. Savu, so they're satiated. V'yarm libam, and then their heart grows haughty. That's why they forget me, because they have all the good. They have so much gold and silver. That's why they did the chet egel. And that's Hashem's, so to speak, fault that He gave us so much good. Rav Nachman Amhachi says a pasuk in Devar. Previous pasuk says that you're going to have a lot of gold and silver. And your heart is going to grow high. Hashem, you're going to forget God. They bring a pasuk in Devar. The pasuk says, "Va'achal v'sava," you're going to eat and you're going to be satiated. V'dashan, you're going to grow fat. Upana, and then you're going to turn and you're going to go, as the pasuk says, Elohim Achem, to other gods. Again, the same idea that we see when someone has it too good, then he forgets God. Or you could say a pasuk in Devar. A classic pasuk, Yishman Yeshurin, that Yeshurun, which is a reference to the Jewish people, they grew fat, Yivat, and then they kicked. Now, continue on this theme. Going back to this was Moshe been complaining to Hashem, like, what do you expect from the Jewish people that did the Egel? They had so much gold. You give so much entitlement to a child. You give him a car, give him a Ferrari, give him everything, give him money, give him a thing, and put him out with the kids on the street. What do you expect that he's going to do? This is what you did to the Jewish people. How do we know Hashem actually came back? Moshe actually admitted to Moshe Rabbeinu that he caused it. Somebody says a pasuk in Hosea, "V'kesev herbasi," and the Ger says law. I lavished silver money on them, bezav asur labal, and gold that they went and did for the Baal, which is one of the Baydazars. Hashem was admitting, he says, yes, because I gave them so much good that caused them on some level to go ahead and do Avodah to do the Cheder Egel. Now continue on this. Now going into the Cheder Egel, the Gemara brings different psukim regarding what happened by the sin of the Egel. So it says the pasuk in Shemais, "V'daber Shem Moshe, lech reid, go and descend." Meaning he was with Hashem and Har Sinai. This was right after Kabbalah Satar. He went up for 40 days. So he's there at the end of the 40 days. The Jewish people did the sin of the Egel. And he says, "Go down." Ma lech reid. What does it mean? Go and descend. So Amr Belaz again from Belaz, he says, "I'm like Kadosh Baruch Hu Moshe. Moshe, reid migdulascha. Go down from your greatness. Why did I give you the leadership position? I only made you great because of the Jewish people. Now the Jewish people sinned. What do I need you for? It's not you. You're just a representative of the Jewish people. So immediately Moshe Rabbeinu's energy just sapped. He didn't have energy to even speak. Now, but once Hashem said, as the pasuk says in Devarim, let go of me, let me destroy these people. Now, he was alluding to him, showing him that he has the power to have Hashem forgive them by his prayer, because he's saying, let go of me. So I'm a Moshe, what do you mean let go of me? I'm not holding on to you, I have no energy anymore. So Moshe Rabbeinu said, Davaz are totally be, obviously it's dependent on me. That Hashem is trying to hint to me something. So immediately he went and he strengthened himself with prayer, and he beseeched mercy, and as we know, the rest of the story is that he saved the Jewish people. Now it says the Gemara, this could be compared to a king that got angry on his son. He was hitting his son, he was beating him. Now the friend of the king was sitting there in front of him. He was afraid to say anything. The king is beating up his son. What's he going to do? So the king said, if not for this friend of mine that's sitting in front of me, I would kill you. So the friend said, obviously it's dependent on me. I mean, he's trying to hint something. He quickly got up and he said, no, he saved the child from being killed. That was what Hashem was alluding to Moshe Rabbeinu. Let go of me, let me destroy them. Let go of me. He was trying to show and hint to him that obviously he has it in his capacity to save the Jewish people. Now the pasuk says over there in Shemais that Va'ata hanichli, Hashem says, now let go of me, which sounds like as if he was holding on to him, and let my anger flare up in them. I'm going to destroy them. I'm going to make you into a great nation. So what's interesting from this pasuk when he says "let go of me," so Amr Bavo he says, "El mali mikra kasav." If not, it would be a pasuk that was written. Yav Shalom, you wouldn't be able to say this. This teaches that Moshe Rabbeinu grabbed a hold of God. Like you have a guy lifting him up by his lapels, holding onto his garment. And he says, "Rebbeinu Shalom, I'm not going to let go of you until you forgive and you pardon them." That's like, so to speak, you wouldn't be able to say such a thing. Moshe Rabbeinu holding on to Hashem's garment and say, Hashem, forgive them. And therefore Hashem was saying, let go of me so that I could destroy them. But Moshe Rabbeinu, so to speak, Tzad the Geis of HaKadosh Baruch Hu Mekayim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu listened to Moshe Rabbeinu. Now in that pasuk it says that Hashem was saying, let go, forget about these Jewish people. I'll make you into a great nation. Who needs this? Let's start off with good stock. So on that again, Amr Belaz, he says, Moshe said in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu as follows. Master world. If a chair with 3 legs, which was referring to Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, cannot stand in front of you at a time of anger, and you want to get rid of these people. So so a chair with 1 leg, meaning if it's going to start from one person like me, Allah is coming to become all the more so it's not going to be able to stand. But not only that, Moshe Rabbeinu had a second point. I'm going to be embarrassed from my fathers. They're going to say, look at the leader that they appointed on them. All he was looking for his greatness for himself. He didn't beseech mercy for them. He's like, okay, you gave me a good opportunity. Forget about these people. Let's start over. He says, I'm embarrassed to go ahead and start over with myself, and therefore again he beseeched mercy to save the Jewish people. Now the pasuk after that says, we know this pasuk, we say it on the Tainus, that literally means to say that Moshe Rabbeinu pleaded the case of the Jewish people in front of God. Now, Amr Belazar, we have many different interpretations. What does Veichal mean to say? So Belazar, and that's why we continue, it's the same Belazar, he says, this teacher, Moshe Rabbeinu stood in front of prayer in front of God. What that means to say is that he pressured him until he forced him to go ahead and forgive the Jewish people. Now, Rabbi Amma, he says different interpretations. Until he annulled his vow. The reason for that is because the words that Hashem had made a vow, I'm going to destroy them. Where do you see anything about hafaras neder from the word vayichal? Because ksiv hacha vayichal, here it says vayichal. Ksiv hacha says b'midbar, when someone makes a neder lo yachal davar, he's not allowed to profane his words, meaning he's not allowed to michal his neder. V'amamar, and the master says, lo yachal davaroi. Who ain't a mechel? The person himself cannot annul and profane his vow. But others could go ahead and be machal, meaning and yachel and profane his words. Meaning Moshe Rabbeinu was able to be made for the neder of the Rabbeinu Shalom. Vayichal is a lashon of vayichal of loyachal devaroi, of don't profane your neder. Hashem wasn't able to get rid of that, so to speak, because he keeps the Torah. But Moshe Rabbeinu was mat to the neder. That's what vayichal is coming to say, that he was yachal devar. Now, Shmuel, a third interpretation, says, this teaches that he gave himself over to be killed on them, because the word vayichal is from the word of chalol. Chalol means a corpse. And therefore he was willing to become a corpse. And like it says over there in the pasuk, Moshe Rabbeinu says to Hashem, if not, if you don't forgive these people, erase me from your safers. That's another interpretation of vayichal. He was willing to be killed. Another interpretation, a fourth interpretation, this is from the word of we know in chalois. It should take effect. It should be placed. Meaning that he caused that the attribute of mercy should rest upon the Jewish people. Fifth interpretation, Rabban Nami, they say, what Moshe Rabbeinu said about HaKadosh Baruch Hu was the master world. Chulin hulach maser from the word of chulin. It's sacrilegious for you to go ahead and do this thing. It's profane from chulin to do this thing, to go ahead and kill the Jewish people. Now, sixth interpretation, the pasuk says, "V'yichal Moshe pnei Hashem." That Moshe Rabbeinu pleaded in front of Hashem. Tanya, we learned in the Brayso, Blez HaGodel Omer. He says, "Malamisha Amen Moshe b'tfilah v'nei HaKadosh Baruch Hu." Moshe Rabbeinu stood and prayed in front of God. Ad she'achzasai achilu. It's from the term of achilu. Until achilu sees them. Says my achilu. What is achilu? So again, Omer Belazar, he says, "Eshel atzamis." It's the fire of the bones. It says my eshel atzamis. Amabai, he says, "Eshel de garmi," which also means the fire of the bones. It means like a fever. A strong fever that takes like a fire in the bones. That's what took effect. And those are six interpretations of what does it mean by Vayichal Moshe. Now, the next pasuk continues, which this is the prayer of Moshe Rabbeinu. He says, remember Avram, Yitzchak, Yisrael, Abadecha, for the sake of Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, your servants, Asher nishbat lem bach, that you swore with them in you. And we find that in all the, by the Akedah Yitzchak, it says, Bi nishbati. Hashem says, in myself I swear. Hashem swore in himself. It says, my bach. What does it mean? Hashem swore in himself. So again, Amr Belazar says, master world. If you swore that you're going to fulfill the oath of giving them the Jewish people in Eretz Yisrael in heaven and earth, so I would say, okay, just like ultimately in the 7th millennium, that what happens is that the heaven and earth is going to go ahead and stop being. That means to say your oath could also at some point stop being. But now that you swore to them in your great name, just like your great name will be around forever and ever and ever, so too your oath has to be forever and ever and ever. And if you swore to them that you're never going to annihilate their children, you cannot destroy the Jewish people. Now the pasuk says over there, in that same pasuk, but tadabalem, and you said to them, meaning to the others. This again, Moshe Rabbeinu pleaded in the case of the Jewish people. I will increase their children like the stars of the heaven. And this land that I said. Now the Gemara jumps in the ass as follows: Hi Asher Marti. What is Moshe Rabbeinu saying that I said? Asher Marta mi bailei. He's talking what Hashem says. You said to them, and why is he saying now? In I said, I said that the land they're going to get. It should say Asher Marta. So again, Rabbi Belazar says, you're right. Ad kan, up until this part of the pasuk where it says like the stars of the heaven, that was Divrei Talmud. That was the words of the student of Moshe Rabbeinu saying what Hashem had told the others. But actually, in middle of this pasuk, from this point onward, is actually Divrei Rab. It's the words of the master, meaning it was Hashem saying, yes, I'm going to do like you said. The land that I said I'm going to give them, I'm going to give them. So it's Hashem now speaking. But another interpretation, Rabbi Shmuel ben Nachmani, says, no, Divrei Talmud. No, both halves of the sentence is the student Moshe Rabbeinu talking. But this is what Moshe Rabbeinu said. Rebbeinu shall master the world. The words that you said to me, Shamartali, that you said to me by the sneh, by the burning bush, you told me that I'm going to take this people out of the affliction of Eretz Mitzrayim to the good and expansive land, meaning Eretz Yisrael. That you told me, Leich Emelahem Yisrael B'Shmi, go tell the Jewish people in my name that I'm going to take them up to Eretz Yisrael. I went and I told them in your name. What am I going to tell them? So it is Moshe Rabbeinu saying, Moshe Rabbeinu says, I said, because you told me to tell them, I said that we're going to go up to Eretz Yisrael, and now what am I going to tell them? You're going to destroy them, you're not even taking them to Eretz Yisrael. Now we continue with the pasuk b'midbar, another one of Moshe Rabbeinu's prayers. This time not after the Ched Egel, but after the Ched Meraglim, after the sin of the spies, where Hashem says, "Forget about these people; they're going to die all in the midbar." So the pasuk says that Moshe Rabbeinu was claiming to Hashem, "Mibilti yechelas Hashem," that without the ability of Hashem to bring this nation to the land that He swore to them, that He's going to slaughter them in the midbar, that's what people are going to say, that Hashem, you couldn't take them up to Eretz Yisrael, that's why you killed them in the midbar. But the question is, yechelas Hashem is in the feminine. It says the Gemara, Yachal Hashem mibayla, it should say in the masculine. He's talking to God in the masculine. Why here does He suddenly switch to the feminine? Again, Amr Belazar, he says, Moshe said in front of God, your blind shall master the world. Now the nations of the world are going to say, as if, so to speak, that God got weakened like a female, like a girl in that way. Like that's why it says in the feminine, but in Yachal suddenly he can't save. He suddenly lost all his masculinity. God answered to Moshe Rabbeinu, what do I mean? What do you mean? They already saw my miracles and my might that I did on the sea. How are they going to suspect that I don't have any ability? So now I'm a so he said in front of God, you're blamed for the master world. But they could still say, yeah, in Parai, in Mitzrayim, there's one king that he was able to do great miracles. But in Canaan, in Eretz Yisrael, there were 31 kings that he can't stand up to, and the nations are going to say, oh, this God, he's not so great. So Rabbi Yechanan, he says, where do we find that HaKadosh Baruch Hu went back and actually agreed to Moshe Rabbeinu regarding what his claim was that people are going to say, and that is a believable comment? Because the pasuk says later on, and Hashem said, Salachti, I've forgiven, kidvarecha, as your words mean to say, as what you said in your claim that I agreed to you, that therefore I'm forgiving the Jewish people, I'm not going to kill them in the midbar. Now, Tanbeir Bishmol, he says, meaning, what does it mean like your words? Mean to say, like your words, the nations of the world, actually, they would have said such a thing. And therefore, I went ahead and saved the Jewish people and didn't kill them because, yes, then the nations would have said that I didn't have an ability, and that would be a great chil Hashem. Says the Gemara, Ashri Talmud, praiseworthy is the student, Sherabe Moideli, that his teacher agrees to him. That was the case with Moshe Rabbeinu HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now the next pasuk says, V'ulam, but, Chayani, as long as I live, this was Hashem talking, but in the theme that we just said, Amar Rav Yitzchak, it says, Malam Hashem HaKadosh Baruch Hu L'Moshe, his teacher HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to Moshe, Moshe, Hechi Yisanu, you kept me alive, meaning in front of the nations, bidvarecha, with your words, because now that you had me save the Jewish people, now none of the nations of the world are going to say, God's not so great. He couldn't do it by 31 kings. It was in your merit, Moshe Rabbeinu, that I was kept alive, so to speak, in the sense of the world. Now, continuing on this theme of the tefillah of Moshe Rabbeinu, Darsh Reb Simlai says, "La'olam misada ad meshivcha shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu." And this is the halacha. Person should always organize the praise of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and then he davens. That's how our Shemona Esrei is. Our first three brachas are shvach. Then tefillah. Where do we know this? Minalim. Where do we know this? From Moshe. The tefillah says the pasuk in Devarim. It says, "Ve'eschanen el Hashem be'isahi," and I implored to God at that time. Uksib, and then said, and he was trying to get into Eretz Yisrael. He was decreed that he can't go. So he first, it says he implored. Uksib, it says after that, Hashem Lekim, Hashem God, you already started showing to your servant as God your greatness and your strong arm and your strong hand. That who in heaven and earth could do like your greatness, like your might, which is that shvach. And what does it say after that? The next pasuk, Ebrina, let me go and cross the Eretz Haaretz HaTov Gomer, and to see the great land. That was his request. So you see that at first he was talking about God's greatness, and then meaning his shvach, and then saying his bakashal. Now, Simon and the mnemonic for the next teachings is maisim, deeds, tzedakah, charity, carbon, the offering, kain, a kain, tainus, a fast, minal alak, barzel, iron. And again, in Talmudic times that was very important because they would remember things by heart, so they had to have a mnemonic for the teachings, which again, these are teachings of Rabbi Lazar, as we continue to Beis. The first one, continuing on this theme of what we're talking about regarding tefillah. Amar Rabbi Lazar says, Gedele tefillah, tefillah is greater, that is more effective, and as we're going to see in our Gemara, more than good actions. Now, Taisa says, it means it's more than Maisim Tevim without tefillah. I mean, the Moshe Rabbeinu, although he had so many good actions, he still had to come out to prayer. He couldn't go and activate what he needed, the request, without tefillah. There was no one that was greater in good actions than Moshe Rabbeinu. He was the leader of all the Jewish people. What his Maisim Tevim was phenomenal. In spite of that, he wasn't responded to, but with prayers. And like it says the pasuk in Devarim, Hashem says, "I'll taste it down. Don't continue to talk to me like this tefillah that we just said on the bottom of Amud Beis of Amud Aleph regarding that he was a Beschan and he was trying to get into Eretz Yisrael." Hashem says, "Stop it! You're not going to Eretz Yisrael." But Basamachli, what does it say after that? Alei Reish HaPiska, go up to the top of the cliff. In other words, and you could see from there the whole view of Eretz Yisrael. Because of this tefillah that you said, I was appeased at least to show you Eretz Yisrael. So therefore we see that although he had such great actions, the only way he was able to even get somewhat of his request was through tefillah. Another teaching from Rabbi Lazar in the same theme of Gedola. Gedola Tanas, greater is a fast, Yesim and tzedakah, more than charity. My time, what's the reason? Zeb Gufay, a fast is giving of your body. The Zeb B'mayne, this is giving of your money. And the closer it is to home, which your body is than your money, that's the greater it is, and therefore a fast is greater than tzedakah. Another teaching from Rabbi Lazar says, Gedola Tefillah Yesim Karbanis, prayer is greater than the sacrifice in the base of Mikdash. Shlomo says the pasuk in Yeshaya, Hashem says, Lamed Le'Rav Zivchechem, why do I need so all your multitude of your sacrifices? Now, Ksiv, and Hashem's complaining, I don't need your favors, so to speak. But then it says later on, Ufavrischem kapechem, and you're spreading out of the hands, which is the way they would daven, spreading out their hands. Now, the point of Rabbi Lazar is, if prayer wasn't greater than karbanas, so then once he already said, Lama li Rav Sivchechem, he already says, why do I need your numerous karbanas? Why would I have to say, Ufavrischem, and spreading out your hands in prayer, if karbanas is greater? So I already said, I don't need your greater things than karbanas, for sure I don't need your lesser thing of tefillah. Obviously, if he's going on and continuing, I don't even need your spreading out your hands, obviously because prayer, tefillah, is greater than karbanas. Now, in that same pasuk, the Gemara makes a drasha. Amar B'Yechnes is called kain sharigas and nefesh. Any kain that kills somebody, lo yisis kapav. He's not doing the sis kapayim. He's not allowed to do birchas kanim on the duchen. Shenem, like it says the pasuk over there in that pasuk, and this is contended in the paiskim. How do we actually rule? But yedechem, your hands, damam aleyu. Your hands are full of blood. Which that tells us your dechem, your hands, which what you do nesis kapayim is full of blood, and therefore that invalidates you, and you wouldn't be able to do nesis kapayim, which literally means to say the lifting up to the palms. That's how they do the birchas kanim. Another teaching from Amar Lazar. It says, Miyem Shechar Beis HaMikdash, from the day that the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed, Ninalu Shar Tefillah, the gates of prayer have been locked. Shlomo says the pasuk in Eicha, Gam ki ezik v'shavei, even if I scream out and I call out, Sisam Tefillasai, my prayer has been shut out, that's it, there's no way it's getting in. But, even though the gates of prayer have been locked, Shari Dimalai Ninalu, the gates of tears are never closed. Shlomo says the pasuk in Tehillim, Shema Tefillas Hashem. David HaMelech says, hear my prayer, Hashem, v'shavase azina, and my scream listen to, el demasi al tachrash, to my tears don't be silent. Now, for the fact that it doesn't say, to my tears you should see, obviously because it is seen. The only thing he has to daven is that it's accepted. Hashem sees the tears. It's getting in through the gates. But Hashem, don't be silent to it. Accept it. But again, that's what we see, because those gates of tears are never closed. Continue on another theme of the pasuk in Eicha, Rava loigaza tanisa b'yem de'eba. He wouldn't decree a fast on a cloudy day, because it says the pasuk in Eicha, again talking about that what has happened, the gates closing since the Beis HaMikdash is destroyed. Sachaisa, you covered over ba'anam with a cloud lach for you, ma'avoid tefillah, from having prayer pass by, which means to say that you can't get through, like so to speak, on a cloudy day. It's an ominous sign, and therefore on a cloudy day it wouldn't make a fast, because then the prayer is not going to get through. Another teaching from Rabbi Lazar says, Yom Shechar Beis HaMikdash, from the day that the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed, Nifsu Kochem es Barzal. Again, these are all the same theme, that there is a wall of iron that separates Bein Yisrael Avim Shabashmaim, between the Jewish people and their Father in heaven. Hashem says the pasuk in Yechezkel, V'ata, and you, Kach Lecha, Hashem was telling to Yechezkel, Kach Lecha Machav es Barzal, take an iron pan, and the Sato Esa Kir Barzal, and make it like an iron wall, Bein Cho Bein Eir, between you and the city, which he was making a sign to Yechezkel, like there was an iron partition separating between him and them, to show that as if that's it, we're cut off. There's an iron wall separating between me and you, the Jewish people. Now, continuing on the halachas, the order of tefillah, Amr of Chana, Amr of Chanina. It says, Kol HaMarach b'tefillah, and again, this goes back to the theme about Moshe Rabbeinu, which we were talking about with Moshe Rabbeinu's prayer. Kol HaMarach b'tefillah, whoever has a lengthy prayer, and tefillah chezeres reikim, so his prayer does not come back empty-handed. No, where do we know this from? Moshe Rabbeinu. Like it says the pasuk in Devarim, V'espalel Hashem, that I pray to God. Ksiv b'asrir, and what does it say afterwards? V'yishma Hashem elai gam b'pameh, that Hashem also listened to me even on that time. Now that was after 40 days. That he was davening, and therefore, because we have those days of Ratzin, when Moshe Rabbeinu was davening, that was 40 days. You see, you daven a long time, that your prayer is going to come back with something. Says the Gemara, is that so? But it says, whoever has a long davening, and he analyzes in the prayer, meaning he waits, he anticipates that his request will be fulfilled because he's davening such a long Shemoneh Esrei, Saif, at the end, it's not going to happen. It's going to come, Boli de Ka'avlev, he's going to have a heartache, which means because he's going to have this, for nothing, he's going to have this yearning, and that's going to cause him to have an heartache, like a person that's yearning for something and his desire doesn't come. So like it says the pasuk in Mishlei, Techeles mimoshecha, a prolonged prayer is machlelev, it's a sick heart. And Maita Kante, actually, what's the cure for that? Yasik b'Torah, you should toil in Torah. Because it says at the end of that pasuk, ve'etz chaim, and a tree of life is tavabah, fulfills the desire. So, in other words, if a person's yearning for a desire and he doesn't get it, and he's davening, the rectification of that is learn Torah, because that's the etz chaim, and that causes taiva, the desire to come, because of Ein Eitz Chaim El Torah, we know that the tree of life refers to Torah. Shlomo says the pasuk initially, Eitz Chaim He, it's a tree of life, but for those who grasp onto it. Fine, that's what it refers to. Don't daven along davening and expect it's going to happen, because you're going to be praying and yearning for nothing. You're not going to get what you want, but rather do it with Torah, and Torah is going to get your desire to come. But one thing is, we see that a person should not have a long davening. It doesn't mean he's going to have what he wants. To the contrary, he's going to have a heartache. How can you say that if you have a long davening, that's for sure going to happen? It says, it's not difficulty. But in this halacha, if someone's davening a long prayer, but if he's going to look into it and contemplate it as if he's going to, Hashem's for sure going to listen, that's going to cause heartache. But this talking about that way, if he's lengthy and he doesn't look into it, where there's different ways of being ma'ayin in your tefillah. Here we're talking about, and when it's a bad thing, is when a person is anticipating, I'm davening so long, Hashem, why aren't you answering my thing? But the good one is, even if we have a later Gemara that even says Iyun Tefillah is good, but that's if you're just analyzing the words and the concepts. But if you're analyzing, you're contemplating, you say, wow, I davened so long, that's just going to cause heartache. But again, if someone davens a long prayer and davens, ultimately something will happen, he'll get something. As the Gemara continues, Amar B'chama Reb Chanina says, if a person says, what do you mean? I davened, I wasn't answered. He should go back and daven again. Shlomo says the pasuk in Tehillim, Kavel Hashem, hope for Hashem. Chazak v'yamitz lebecha, strengthen, and again give courage to your heart, and don't stop. Rather go back and v'kavel Hashem, and again hope to Hashem. As the Gemara continues on that theme, turn about Linda Bryce, Arba, Tzrich, and Chizik. There's four things that a person has to constantly be strengthening himself with all his energy, all his might. Ve'elahin, what are these four things? Torah, learning Torah, Maisim Tevim, good acts, Tefillah, prayer, v'derech eretz, and livelihood, meaning if he's a craftsman for his craft, if he's a merchant for his merchandise, if he's a warrior for his the war tactics, a person has to constantly strengthen himself in these four areas. You can't slack off. That's why we said in the previous Gemara, as we're going to say now, regarding tefillah is the same thing. Says Gemara, Torah Ma'asim Tevim Minayin. How do we know regarding Torah Ma'asim Tevim that one has to constantly strengthen himself? Shlomo says the pasuk in Yeshua, it says Rak Chazak V'Amatz Ma'id. However, only you should conquer and you should make yourself strong and with courage very much. Lishmer B'Lasis Kachal Torah, to observe and to do this whole Torah. Where do you see that it's referring to Torah Ma'asim Tevim? When it says Chazak, to strengthen yourself, that refers to Torah. The Amitz, and to give courage, that's Ma'asim Tevim, that's regarding good acts. Now, Tefillah Minayin, how do we know regarding prayer? So like it says in the pasuk we mentioned before in Tehillim, Kavel Hashem, hope to Hashem, Chazak v'yamitz, strengthen yourself and give courage to your heart, V'kavel Hashem, and hope to Hashem, which is a famous drasha from Ramchal, Drush Akivu, that he says the whole thing a Jewish person has to do is to hope. If a person hopes, he's going to get to the next world. And that's what we see, that here by prayer, you just hope and hope and hope. And that's what's important for a person, to hope and pray again. Derech eretz minayin, how do we know regarding a person's livelihood? Shlomo says the pasuk in Shmuel Beis, that if we said, Chazak, strengthened, b'nischazke, be strengthened for fighting the war, which was the context of the pasuk over there, because of our people, I mean to say you have to constantly be on the cutting edge, and you have to constantly be strengthening yourself regarding these four areas, regarding Derech eretz, Torah, Tefillah, and regarding Ma'asim Tevim. Now, Gemara goes back to the Egel that we were speaking about on Amid Aleph. The pasuk says in Yeshaya, "V'tomer Tzion," which refers to the Jewish people, said, "Azavani Hashem, Hashem has forsaken me, V'Hashem shechachani, and Hashem has forgotten me." So the Gemara wonders, "Haina azuva, haina shchucha." What's the difference between forsaking and forgetting? So Amar Shlakish says, "Amar Knesset Yisrael lifnei Hakadosh Baruch Hu." Jewish people said about the Hakadosh Baruch Hu, "Rebbeinu Shalom, Master of the world, Adam noisi isha al ishta rishayna." If a man gets married to another woman besides his first wife, so at least he remembers his first wife's actions. But Ata Azavtani, you forsake us, and V'Shechachtani, and you forget me. Not only do you forsake us, that you go to another wife, but you actually forget like as if we ever existed. Amar Kadosh Baruch Hu says to the Jewish people, Biti, my daughter, Yud Beis, the Jewish people's reference as the wife, as the daughter, Yud Beis Mazolis Barasa Berki, says, I created 12 constellations in the sky, in the firmament. I'll call Mazal, and for every constellation, I made 30 army commanders. And then every army commander, I made 30 legion, which again, these are all terminologies of leadership positions in the army of Hashem. For every legion, I made 30 rahatan. For every rahatan, I made 30 carton. And if you had a graph, you would be able to see in each one of these coming out 30 of all these categories. For every carton, gistra, I made 30 gistra. I made I suspended shalish meis v'shishim v'chamisha alpha. I made 365,000 riboy myriads, and every myriad is 10,000. So I made 365,000 times 10,000 of koichavim, of stars. Connected to my sachama, because there's 365 days in a solar year. I made all this to go and computate and calculate that number. And I made them all for you. You say that I've forsaken you, I've forgotten you. So the pasuk after that says, that the Jewish people responded that that Hashem says, "Hasishkach isha ula." Does a woman forget her baby? And the pasuk there continues, "Meirachim ben bitna," from the womb, her child that comes out of her body. Which Amar Kadosh Baruch Hu, what Kadosh Baruch Hu was telling the Jewish people, "Klum eshkach eilis elim." The word ula, isha, is the woman, and the daughter is referring to the Jewish people. Does a woman forget her baby? The word ula could also be read as oilos. The oilos are the burnt sacrifices of the elim of the rams. Am I going to forget the burnt offerings that you made? Upitri recham, which that's the next part of the pasuk, Mirachim bebitna, and from the firstborn from the womb, which is the b'chayris, which are karbanis, shekraft l'fanu b'midbar, that you sacrificed in front of me in the midbar. I don't forget. Don't worry, I don't forget you, the Jewish people, and all the good that you did for me. But of that, I'm l'fanav. So then the Jewish people said in front of Hashem, Rebbeinu Shalom asked the world, since there's no forgetting in front of your holy throne, maybe now I can forget the golden calf that I made. So Amalah, so that's what the pasuk says over there. Hashem says, "No gam elas ishkachana." This also I will forget, which refers to the Maisa Egel, because by the Egel in Shmois Lam Beis they says, "Ela Elohecha Yisrael." These are your God, the Jewish people. The Ela of the Egel I will forget. So Amalah, so then the Jewish people said in front of Hashem, "Okay, B'nai Shalom, since we say that you do forget, and you're forgetting the Egel, Shem Tishkach L'Maisa Sinai. Maybe you can forget the Kabbalah Sater that we did by Har Sinai." So Amalah, he said to her, as the pasuk there says, "No, I'm not going to forget you," which refers to Sinai, which Hashem said, "Anoichi Hashem lekecha." The Anoichi I will not forget. And says behind the Rabbi Shloimy says, "Ma'idich said, what does it mean the pasuk Gam Elas Ishkachana, that also the Ela I will forget? Zemaisa Egel, which is Ela Lecha Yisrael. And when Hashem says in that pasuk, "Anoichi Lishkechach," I'm not going to forget you. Zemaisa Sinai refers to Har Sinai, which Hashem says, "Anoichi Hashem lekecha." Now going back to the halacha, the Mishnah that we said, Chasidim Hashem, our parak opened up, Ein Oimdin, you have to come to davening with a proper frame of mind. So it says Chasidim Hashem, the earlier pious ones, they would wait an hour before davening, before they started praying. Says Gemara Menan, where do we know this from? So Rabbi Shloimy says, because Amakar, the pasuk says in Tillim, says, Ashrei, how fortunate Yeshvei V'Secha are those who sit in your house. And what does the pasuk then continue? And then says, Oid Yehalalucha Selo, which teaches first you have to be Yeshvei, first sit, and then be Yehalalucha. Another teaching from and therefore, actually, Tosfos brings, that's why they instituted this pasuk of Ashrei. Really, it's not Ashrei. It's really the parak and Tillim that we say before Mincha. It's called Tila L'David. We add on the pasuk of Ashrei Yesh V'Secha to connote this idea about we're sitting, we're getting the frame of mind before we're going to daven. Another teaching from Rabbi Shimon Levi says, when you finish davening, you have to wait an hour after davening. Somebody says the pasuk in Tillim, Ach tzadikim, surely the righteous ones, Yedu Lishmecha, they give thanks to your name. And then the pasuk says, Yesh v'Yisharim, the upright, they sit, they linger, as panecha, in your presence. So you see that after being Yedu Lishmecha, giving thanks, which is a prayer, then they sit around after they finish davening. Similar in the Brisa, and this the halacha, on some level, someone that prays, so he has to wait, I don't know if it means an hour, he's got to wait before he prays, an hour after he finishes davening. Before he davens, how do you know this? And like it says in the pasuk, first you sit, and then you say, how do we know after davening? So like it says in the pasuk, surely the righteous, they give thanks to your name, and then then they sit, and they linger around after they finish davening. Now, turn in the Brisa, that, as we mentioned, Chasidim Hashem, the earlier pious ones, they would wait an hour, Mispal Shachas, they would daven for an hour, then they would wait again another hour. Says the Gemara, says the Brisa, if they delayed, if they spent 9 hours a day davening for the 3 tefillas of the day, so how is their learning preserved in their hearts, that they don't forget their learning, and how is their activities done? Mean to say, as some of us explained, obviously when they were younger they didn't do this because you had to first spend time learning. But when they got older and they already knew their Torah, but how did they safeguard that they don't forget their learning? Because you have to constantly be reviewing. How did that be maintained inside them? And what about the malacha? How about the parnasa that they have? Because they're pious, their Torah was safeguarded with siyata d'shmaya, and their activities were all blessed, that the little that they did was blessed, and therefore, although they spent 9 hours in tefillah, they were still successful. Now the Mishnah said, even though the king is inquiring how he's doing, but he's in the middle of davening Shemona Esrei, Lo Yishuvin, he doesn't respond. Now, Amar Rabbi Yisrael qualifies this halacha. Says, Lo Yishuvin, we didn't learn this, Ela Malchi Yisrael, only for the Jewish kings. Ela Malchi Akim, for the non-Jewish kings, this halacha Pesach, you should stop so that he doesn't kill him. Says the Gemara, we learned the Brisa, Mispal, if someone's davening, Ra Anis Bo Kenegdin, and a very dangerous person is coming opposite him, or Ra Karin Bo Kenegdin, he's standing in the place where a wagon is careening towards him, meaning a situation of danger, says the Brisa, Lo Yehei Mafsik, you shouldn't interrupt him in the middle of davening, Ela Mekatzav, rather you should bridge what you're davening and then quickly leave. So you see that you're not supposed to be Mafsik even in the situation of danger. Says Gemara, like Kash, it's not difficult. Had the Efshel Lekatzer, if you could be abridged in other words, like you're mamish about to finish your Shemini Esrei, then you katzer. If I'm not Pesach, then you should stop. But yeah, if you can't bridge it, you're middle of Shemini Esrei and something dangerous happening, you should stop middle of Shemini Esrei, even though you're davening Shemini Esrei. The Gemara concludes with a story. Turn about the Brisa. There was a story with a pious individual. He was davening on the road. So a nobleman came along and gave him a greeting. He didn't respond to him. So he waited till he finished his prayer. After he finished davening, he said to him, Reika, empty one. And they come with the words for the Torah. It says in your Torah in Devarim, you should be very careful and you should safeguard your soul. Except when it says a pasuk later on, you should be very careful with your souls. When I gave you peace, why didn't you return my greeting? If I would have cut your head off with a knife, with a sword, would someone go ahead and claim your blood from me? What do you mean? Of course, you have to greet a nobleman. Why didn't you respond? So the chassid said to him, wait for me until I appease you with my words. Actually, a very important interpersonal tactic, which, give me a few minutes. Let me explain to you what I want to tell you. Amalei said to him, had you been standing in front of a flesh and blood king, and a friend of yours would come along and greet you, as we continue to talk about, would you return the greeting? Amalei, he says, no. And he says, if you return the greeting, what would they do to you? Amalei says, they would have cut my head off with a sword. Amalei said to him, if you're standing in front of the flesh and blood king, today he's here, but tomorrow he's in the grave. Kach would be that thing, of course you wouldn't interrupt. I, that I was standing in front of the king of all kings, the Holy One, blessed is he, that he's alive and he stays forever and ever. All the more so that I couldn't interrupt to return your greeting. Immediately that nobleman was appeased, and this pious one went home in peace because of his good argument that he said in front of that nobleman. Some ideas we spoke about in today's Daf, Beruchas Daf Lamed Beis. We continue with, so to speak, the excuse, the mitigating factor of the Yetzer Hara, that the reason why we sin is because Hashem, it's in His control, as we brought 3 different psukim, that Hashem, we're like kachema biyad Yetzer, we're like putty in your hands, Hashem. You made the Yetzer Hara, of course, therefore we sin. If you would take that away, we would only do your ratzon. We continue with from the previous daf. There were 2 individuals with Shechan and Eliyahu that they were hitich dvarim klabimala. They, so to speak, through words at God, they spoke very strongly. Moshe Rabbeinu also, either from the pasuk El Hashem, which the Gemara dashens Al Hashem, or because he said V'di Zahav, which is Hashem, you gave too much gold to the Jewish people. It's your fault that, so to speak, mitigating at least the factor that the Jewish people sinned by the Chet Egel, and the Gemara brought many sources at Mashalom, like Vayishman Yishur Vayiva, that when we have too much good, then we don't appreciate it, and then we go ahead and the Jewish people sin. Now, related to the Chet Egel, which we spoke about because they had too much money, so the Gemara brought different psukim regarding the Chet Egel. When Hashem said to Moshe Rabbeinu, Lech Rei, go down, didn't just mean go down in the physical sense, but from your greatness, your leadership, you lost it because you're only there because of the Jewish people. Heref meni v'ashmidim, let go of me and I'll destroy them. He was hinting to Moshe Rabbeinu to go ahead and hold on to him and pray, like the pasuk V'ata hanichli, let go of me. So to speak, Moshe Rabbeinu was grabbing onto Hashem and says, no, I'm not letting go of you until you forgive the Jewish people. And when he said, V'esa ischa oischa l'gagol, I'm going to make you into a great nation, Moshe's response was twofold. He says, if a chair of 3 legs can't stand, Avram Yitzchak Yaakov, for sure on one chair, you want to start a nation out of me, they're not going to last when you get angry. And moreover, I'm embarrassed because I'm a leader, and this is what happens. A leader goes and takes for his own self, he saves his own money, and everyone else's, he just goes and burns. When it says Veichal Moshe, Moshe Rabbeinu prayed, so 6 different interpretations, what does Veichal mean? Either Hechlei, which means that he pressured Hashem, or from the word of Layachal Devar, meaning he was made for the neder of Hashem, who says, I'm going to destroy them, and Moshe Rabbeinu was made for the neder, which only someone else could, or from a term of Chal, which means corpse, which he gave himself up to be killed, like he says, or Hechla, like the term of Chalais, of he placed upon the Jewish people the attribute of mercy, or Chulun Hilach Masas Kedav Hashem, this is sacrilegious for you to do this to destroy the Jewish people, or until Achilu took a hold of him, which is the Eish al Tamas. He had this type of a fever that took a hold of him. He prayed with such intensity, such fervor, that this fever took a hold of him. Then we continued again with different psukim that Moshe Rabbeinu was telling to Hashem with his tefillas, Nishbat lem bach, you swore to them, the others, in you, meaning not like Shemayim Naretz. You say, you stay forever, your oath has to stay forever. And when he said in the pasuk, Chal Artz Hazes Asher Marti, we said, what do you mean Asher Marti? Asher Marta. He was talking to Hashem. So either you're right, this is Divrei Rav, Hashem started speaking at this point, or no, it's Moshe Rabbeinu that he said, you told me to tell the Jewish people, when you sent me at an earlier agency to tell them that you're going to take them to Eretz Yisrael, I told them, what am I going to tell them now when you're destroying them? And he says, Mebli Chaylis Hashem, why I say in the feminine, is because the nations were going to say Hashem got weakened like a girl, like he couldn't do anything now, and the nation is going to say, 31 kings he couldn't, 1 king power he was able to do. Then we brought from the same Amor that Rabbi Laz we were talking throughout the Daf, Gudela Tefillah more than Maisim Tevim, prayer is bigger than Ma'aseh Tovim, like you say, but Moshe Rabbeinu. Fasting, which is with your body, is bigger than charity, which is with your money. Tefillah is greater than Karbanas. He spoke about the famous concept of Shari Demois Le'Ninlu, the gate of tears is never closed. Should a person be lengthy with his prayer, he says only if you're not contemplating and saying, look, I daven, how come I daven so long with this thing? That's not good. That's going to bring heartache. You should daven long tefillas, and you will be answered. And because that's one of the things that a person needs chizik, 4 things: learning Torah, Ma'aseh Tovim, tefillah, like we said, kavel Hashem, chazak v'yam, lebecha v'kavel Hashem, and derech eretz, which means to say a person's conduct in his business. Those things he has to be mechazik himself. We said that Hashem forgets the bad like the egel, but he remembers the good like it is by the Kabbalah Torah. We went back to the halacha of the Mishnah that you have to wait an hour before, an hour after. An hour before is Asher Yeshu V'Secha, and then you have Luchas. And after davening is Ach Tzadikim Yoid L'Shmecha, and then Yeshu Yisham, then they linger around. And we said, how do they have anything done? It's because they're pious people. We went back to the halacha of the Mishnah that says that a person should not respond to a king only if it's a Jewish king, but if it's a non-Jewish king or some type of a danger, you should stop if you can't abridge. If you can make a bridge, don't interrupt. And we ended off with Ma'aseh B'Chasidecha that he didn't respond to the nobleman, and he got away with it because he said, a kal v'chema from a flesh of a king. Thank you, sir, anytime for hosting us.